I know it is with heavy heart for many people to find out that Tony Bennett passed away yesterday as a recording of this on July 21st, 2023. And I want to say that I think there are 10 things that we should take in consideration of what Tony taught us. And being a singing channel, I am going to put it with the lens of that, but this can apply to everything. So I wanted to dress up a little bit, kind of how Tony would perform on stage, and let's go from there to talk about what those things are. So number one, if you're going to start singing or do whatever you're doing, just start anywhere.
You started singing in restaurants?
Yeah, I was a singing waiter. I was a saloon singer.
Number two, is your stage name going to be the name that you were born with, or are you going to go with something different? What is your brand? Think about that as you're going on.
Tony Bennett was born Anthony Benedetto in Astoria, Queens, in New York. At first, he performed under the name Joe Barry. Then one night, Bob Hope gave him some advice.
He said, look, you're an Italian-American. What's your real name? I said, Anthony Dominic Benedetto. Well, that's a little long. He said, but why don't we call you Tony Bennett? Bob Hope gave me my name.
Number three, don't stop finding out who you are. The first thing that makes you successful, even though you should double down on what makes you successful to become more successful, doesn't have to define you always. There's always going to be something if you keep on pushing the boundaries.
Back in 1951, Bennett's first single, Because of You, went to number one. He'd scored 20 top 40 hits in the decade.
I left my heart.
But it was another song in 1962 that would become his signature.
In San Francisco.
So number four, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with most. So if you hang out with people better than you, eventually you're going to be able to get it just like they do.
Gave credit for his eventual superstardom to an older Italian-American singer from Jersey, Frank Sinatra, who he met in 1956.
He changed my career.
He did.
All of his fans wanted to find out about what he was talking about.
Tony's going to come on now and he's going to tear the seats out of the place for you because he's my man, this cat. Mr. Tony Bennett, thank you very much.
Sinatra would pay him the ultimate compliment in a profile in Life magazine in 1965, saying, "For my money, Tony Bennett's the best in the business."
After that quote,
That was nice.
I've been sold out my whole career. You know, he was my biggest influence. He and Ella Fitzgerald and Nat King Cole.
So that will also give us a lesson to be nice to everybody, because you never know who you're going to cross in any capacity wherever you are in life. So just keep it real with people, but also be kind, because you never know. Lesson number 5, take advice from people who are good at what they do. I know that seems like an easy thing to say, but there are a lot of singers who are like, I don't want to do it that way because I'm this way. But if you change something and listen to people who have been doing it for years.
And he said, what is it, kid? He always, to the day he died, he called me kid. You know? And I told him my problem. I said I was very nervous, and right away, he gave me the best singing lesson I ever had in my life. He said, you have to understand that the public, when they come in to see you, they adore you. So they're your friends.
How cool is it to get that advice from somebody and really follow? Like a lot of voice lessons sometimes given by teachers, just do what they say. Just go gung-ho into it. And if it doesn't work out, then maybe find somebody else who works with you better, whatever it is. Just follow through the people who know what they're doing. You really know if somebody knows what they're doing. Don't take it to heart if it's something different than you have done. Number 6, what Tony Bennett left us, and something that we should follow, is that we have to keep going and evolving. So he collaborated with as many people as possible.
Years young, he released Cheek to Cheek, a duet album with Gaga, making him the oldest artist in the world to have a #1 album.
I've always wanted to be one of a kind somehow, and it happened.
He came back in the 90s as
So he wasn't relevant for a little bit, and he came back in the 90s.
He's back, and he's the epitome of cool to people who are 40, 50 years younger than him.
His career, a long journey in working with music legends from Frank Sinatra to more modern-day icons like Amy Winehouse.
All for you, body and soul.
He teamed up most famously with Lady Gaga.
I've got you under my skin.
There's 60 years between us, but when we sing, there's no distance.
I love that, right? I sing also with people of many ages, and you find that the music brings us together no matter what age you are. Number 7, if you keep on doing the things that you've always done to be where you are, you won't be where you want to be in the future. You have to keep on upping the game, and this is what he really teaches here.
Had a few lessons to share with Lady Gaga about longevity.
Once you go for 45,000 people a night in a big stadium, you become very famous over anybody else. But then sooner or later, someone else comes up and starts taking it away from you.
I'm not worried about anybody taking it away from me. I want to collab with everybody. But if I got 45,000 hits of YouTube video, I'd be happy.
This album will prove to her that through the years, she'll always be around because it proves that she's a great performer.
Do you think she was worried about that?
No, I was worried about it.
But if somebody older than you, again, from the lessons we've just learned, is worried about it for you, then you probably should be worried about it.
You were.
Because I like her a lot. As a person, she's a great performer.
As a person, notice it said that, and then there's a great performer afterwards. As a person, that keys into one of our big lessons that Tony gives us.
And I know that eventually, by doing what she was doing at just that one thing, sooner or later someone's going to come and top her.
You've seen that happen.
Oh, many times. Many times.
Yeah, that's a reality check, right? Number 8, find a thing that you're really good at and double down on it. Find a thing that makes you, makes your brand yours.
When talking about his voice specifically, I mean, it's something else, right, to wow your own peers. But composer Alec Wilder said that there's a quality about his voice that lets you in. What a beautiful way to describe that. You agree?
Yes. He had that special thing that maybe 4 people have had in my life as singers, where he sounds loud when he's singing very quiet. And it was flawless. Every note you could hear over an entire orchestra, even when he was singing quietly.
What do you have that let other people feel like you let them in? What is it that you can celebrate about yourself? And this next one.
There was also his taste. I asked him once about his singing, and he said he used to follow the trombone players.
Know your own voice and what your voice should be doing. And he has a little thing, a little trick that made his voice his. Follow the trombone players instead. Which
I thought was interesting because they're more fluid. And that was where his phrasing was from. He wasn't listening to saxophone players. He said trombone players.
Number 9. Now, this is a little more serious of what happened to Tony Bennett getting Alzheimer's at the age of 90. And I'm going to try to not ramble because I'm very passionate about this. But singing, involving your life in music, that's something very special. Watch this phenomenon of what happens when Tony Bennett gets on stage compared to when he's not singing. It's just an instant, quick, weird phenomenon that's amazing.
Been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2016.
At age 90, Bennett was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, his health worsening during the pandemic, but he kept singing.
To what Tony said as she appeared on stage.
Hey, Tony.
Whoa! Lady Gaga!
Now, look at Lady Gaga's face. Now, you might not think that's a big deal, but, however, there's a reason why people who with Alzheimer's forget their own sons and daughters' names, but that song that they remember every single word. I've seen it sing into nursing homes. Watch Lady Gaga. She's so happy. And here's why. After this clip.
I like that. Do it again.
Okay. That's the first time that Tony said my name in a long time.
Really? In all the weeks leading up to it, he hadn't said your name? Tony remember the songs, but could he remember how to perform them in front of thousands of people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's something that goes on the brain when you're in that performance mode of singing.
Go to the opera and I stay wide awake.
That's why the lady is a tramp. She likes the free.
94 years old doing this. If I have half the voice that Tony Bennett had at the age of 94.
Fresh
wind in her hair.
People that continue singing, there's something special about it.
Life without care.
Lady Gaga was there to walk Tony Bennett off the stage one last time.
Now, when we're talking back in the talking world, our brain switches that mode and then the Alzheimer's could kick over. So watch what Lady Gaga does is very smart.
It's the last thing that I said to Tony on stage was, Mr. Bennett, it would be my honor if I could escort you off the stage. And he said, okay.
So the 10th thing I think is most important, that we do this, and you find that the people who do this thing are quick to give compliments and take blame. Watch what Tony does and how he's talked about in this as being a
good man. What do you want people to know about him, the man?
He was sweet to everyone. And if he got frustrated, he always took it upon himself to figure it out. He never acted out on anyone else. And you could be in with a 100-piece orchestra, and he would walk in and everybody would just feel okay. And if there was a problem, he let it get solved and he brought it forward in a positive way. He was just a kind to everyone. You know, when you go eat at a restaurant and he would just be, the waiter or waitress would just feel like, so good. I was with Tony and it was so wonderful, and they're probably still talking about it today.
That is the great Tony Bennett. Let's take these lessons that we have and not only put it, I know this is a singing channel, but if you put it in all aspects of your life, whether it's your business or your life or your family and friendships, all of it, make it happen where you can live this. Thank you so much, Tony Bennett, for giving us these amazing lessons in life and for giving us great music that I'm very thankful for, because I know what singing has meant to me. If you want to see some reaction videos of singers that I think is great, I think I did a great one on Laura recently and finding this and really thinking about what human emotion is, because that's what makes us us. And when you find a singer that can do that, be you, you're amazing. Surround yourself with love. And yeah, take care.